I will never forget the brightness of the auditorium lights that afternoon, how they burned above me like a cruel spotlight. My shirt clung to my back, damp with panic, as I stammered through the slides, my trembling hands barely able to steady the cheap clicker. "Data," I insisted, desperate, voice echoing off cracked tiles. "Data can be art, not just patterns, but something that reaches people." Rows of suit jackets and folding chairs gave nothing back. Behind their icy stares, I saw my own family, my uncle's bristling mustache, my mother's proud frown, my brother's thin, skeptical lips. But here it wasn't family, it was power. Investors I'd chased for weeks, the ones I needed to see me, really see. I squeezed my palm, struggling to hold on to the certainty that had gotten me this far. Images flickered behind me. Swirling Mumbai traffic transformed into streams of color, railway schedules bending into urban landscapes. They barely glanced. By the 5th minute, the coughs began. Then the soft pit-pat of fingers drumming on armrests. A man in the 3rd row, slick hair, silver watch, raised a finger. "So you turn numbers into what? Coloring books?" Laughter rippled. My cheeks went hot. "No, it's a new language for crowded cities. Urban stress mapped, transformed." Another smirk. "Is there any market? Art is for galleries. Data is for analysts. Why mash them together?" For a second, I remembered kneeling on my childhood floor, mapping out cricket scores in colored pencils, tracing the rise and fall of Virat Kohli's sixes as my father scoffed behind a newspaper. Always, I'd tried to turn the chaos in my mind into something beautiful. Now, this room waited for me to vanish. The moderator cleared his throat. "Thank you, Shale," he said gently. The gentle decapitation of the polite. "We have, no further questions." I gathered my laptop, heart bruised, eyes searching for safe ground. I fought for dignity, walking steady from the stage, but the echo of my failure lodged itself in my chest, heavy and irrevocable, as the doors swung closed behind me. When I stepped into the hallway, the first thing I saw was Ma's message. "How did it go, Beta?" I could picture her voice, stretched thin between hope and dread. I turned the phone face down, knowing beneath the simple words was 100 fears. "Did they laugh at you? Are you ready to stop this crazy pursuit?" I drifted through the half-abandoned college under banners that flapped in the humid air. Students passed me in packs, heads low, shoulders hunched beneath heavy bags and heavier dreams. I ducked into a side stairwell, rammed my bag against the concrete, and let the ache in my stomach bloom. A few floors up, sunlight spilled crookedly through a cracked window. Crows screamed at each other over a half-built flyover. For a moment, I felt outside my own life. An actor, lost backstage, the audience long gone. When I arrived home, our tiny, stubborn apartment in Ghatkopar, the silence was thick with expectation. Ma hovered at the small table, dicing onions too finely, while Baba brooded by the window, eyes stuck on the flickering television. The rich smell of frying garlic curled through the flat, trying to sweeten the bitterness. Baba spoke first, as he always did after my failures. "You tried," he said, voice gravelly, not looking at me. "But what is data artistry? Some childish thing? Learn something useful. Join your cousin at Infosys. Enough of this natak." I bit my tongue. The words burned, but a sort of clarity settled then, a realization that I was completely alone. I wanted to shout at him, to tell him he didn't understand, but all I could manage was, "I'll be in my room." Ma's eyes caught mine, wide and searching, but I looked away. That became my world. Daytime, endless CVs, UI design tests, soulless jobs I failed to care about. Nighttime, hunched over my desk, squinting at battered codebooks, teaching myself new ways to twist data into stories. Sometimes, after midnight, I'd open the window and listen as the city drifted into uneasy sleep, the trains slowing, the voices sinking into murmurs and snores. From outside, my life must have looked small. To my family in Kerala, I was the lost cause. My mother's sisters matched me with every mannerless engineer they could find. At Sunday dinners, cousins joked about my data paintings, asking for discounts on Excel assignments. Even my little brother, still in college, joined them. Niku says you turned his attendance sheet into a rainbow, he grinned, waggling his phone. So that's art by? I shrugged, pretending I found it funny. But after, I lay awake, heart thumping with shame. Yet, watching wage records break into river-like flows, traffic layouts bloom into subtle peaks and valleys, the shape of the city changing beneath my fingers. It was clarity, not the sharp logic of code, but the language that made sense of noise. Even as the rest of my life blurred with disappointment, this work glowed. But clarity doesn't feed a family. One evening, Baba finally exploded. If you want to eat here, at least help pay rent, or go home to your mother's village. Dreams aren't for people like us. His words left bruises, but they also strangely freed me. 2 days later, I packed my things in a cheap suitcase and took the early local out of Mumbai. The city's towers vanished, exchanged for the flat, relentless green of the Konkan coast. I felt carved out and small, a ghost in my cousin Vinay's cramped house. Nights, wind howled through palm trees, and everything I'd tried to build felt distant, impossible. It was at my lowest point that the email arrived. Out of nowhere, yet it found me. Dear Shale, we saw your Urban Flows project on GitHub. We want to include you in our DataX Artist Residency online scholarship, mentorship, $5,000 grant. Are you interested? I read the words staggered, read them again. Weeks of numbness shattered. I called Ma immediately, her tears mixed with laughter. I told no one else, not Baba, not cousins. That month, I worked harder than ever. Days spent filling coconut trucks for Vinay, nights lit by the white screen glow, building models of Mumbai's festival routes, the way crowds surged through streets during Ganesh Visarjan. I learned how to pair logic and beauty without apology. All around me, the family assumed I was finally coming to my senses, preparing for the government exam season. I let them think it. The residency led to new chances. A tech blog picked up my project. Suddenly, there were interviews. Invitations to do a workshop for underprivileged kids. Then, a Scandinavian design firm wanted my work for their public metro installation. My world cracked open, piece by piece, like a dam releasing stored rainwater. When the first check arrived, I stared at it for hours, tracing the name over and over. My name, my signature. Rent for 6 months, Ma's medical bills, an extra bed for my brother so he wouldn't sleep on the floor. I thought of Baba's voice, always sharp and final. Dreams aren't for people like us. I wanted so badly to tell him how wrong he'd been. Instead, I sent Ma half the money and waited. 3 years passed. Mumbai changed, and so did I. Success at first lurked quietly. An email signature read, lead data artist. Then a glowing interview on a YouTube channel. A TEDx talk full of stumbles and sweat, but watched by 100,000. My works transformed city corners. An interactive net of color at VT Station, an augmented reality installation in Bandra where commuters moved through their own weather maps. In public, I spoke less of art and more of sense-making, how beauty and data could reveal each other. It caught on, slowly, but it did. Still, something lingered like a missing tooth, the wound of never being believed. Ma called weekly, voice bright but concerned. Baba mostly stayed silent, but sometimes. At the oddest hours, his number flashed on my screen, then vanished. My own life grew comfort and purpose, but that root ache never left. The sting of not being seen, of having to make yourself real over and over for people who needed witnesses more than proof. So, when my curator called late one evening, her voice threaded with excitement and nerves, something shifted in me. "Shale," she said, "the Municipal Art Council signed off. Your city skin goes up at Azad Maidan. Full public launch. Press, partners, everyone you want can attend." My heart hammered. I barely managed. "When?" "2 weeks. They want you to open it. Ribbon cutting, the whole deal." I stood by the open window for a long time after the call, the city below me endless, alive, and impossibly real. I watched the black silhouettes of kites spiral against an orange dusk and felt, for the first time, the tide turning home. It took 3 days to convince Ma to come. "What will I wear there?" she fretted. "Your Baba. He doesn't like crowds. Nikhil has exams." I finally pressed, soft but insistent. "Ma, please, I want you there." She relented, agreeing to bring Baba if he would come, though she warned me not to hope. Inviting the rest of my family was harder. I sent the links, official page, council endorsements, photos of previous installations, my own smiling, awkward face in articles. No one replied. It didn't matter. I booked a train ticket for all of them anyway. On the day of the launch, the air was thick, humid, with the permanent potential for rain. Azad Maidan's grass was patchy but bright, kids playing cricket in one corner, nervous policemen ushering people in through gantries lined with bunting. Press tents rose like circus pavilions. My